what a game that was. Miami was dominating the first quarter, and then Denver in the second quarter was up 11. Miami came back, but what a great game overall. I mean, this Miami Heat team is here to stay. If I have to say this again and again and again, I keep talking to friends. I have a lot of friends that are Heat fans. They beat the Bucks 4-1. They dominated the Knicks series. If it wasn't for the couple games against Boston, they dominated that series, as you saw in game 7. You lost game 1 to Denver on the road. It's a feel out game. You're kind of seeing what's going to go on throughout the series. And then you come out in game 2, you start punching them in the mouth, you start hitting your threes, you start really getting into your groove, comfortable, the play style you've been playing all year. You've been a known 3-point shooting team all year. I think they went 17 of 39 from 3 tonight. So this Miami Heat team, like I said, is here to stay. They've won 8 road games this postseason, going back to the Bucks series, the Knicks, and the Celtics. And they just won game 2 on the road. And the toughest place to play in the NBA, which is Denver. So this Miami Heat team, there's no shortage of how they play, their play style. They're gritty, they're tough. They come at you with everything they have. Hey, they could have rolled over in the second quarter when they were down 11 and they were down 15. They could have rolled over, but they didn't. They didn't roll over. They stayed the course. They stuck to their game plan. And let's just talk about Duncan Robinson's fourth quarter. All 10 points of his points came in the fourth quarter. Now, this is a guy that was undrafted out of Michigan, finding his way in the NBA, gets onto the Miami Heat, gets DNP'd a lot this season, gets a $90 million contract, right after the bubble, or if it was before the bubble. I'm not exactly sure. I don't remember, but a remarkable story. And the highs and the lows of a player like him, because he's not gifted athletically. He's gifted shooting wise. He's very talented shooting the ball, but he's not he comes into the rotation. He comes out of the rotation because, Strus took his spot. Gabe Vincent outplays him at times. Tyler Hero, you have him as well, who hasn't played the series, so he might come back for game 3. So a guy like Duncan Robinson is just a great story. It's great to see him coming into his own again, getting that sense of comfortableness. I was listening to JJ Redick's podcast, Old Man in the Three, a few days ago, and Duncan Robinson was on there talking about the highs and the lows, and getting bumped out of the rotation, coming into the rotation, just the highs and lows as an NBA player. And it's just great to see his story and how he's coming into his own again. He gets that comfortableness. And actually, earlier in the game of game 2 tonight, he was pulled and then he came back in, and the rest is history for tonight. Duncan Robinson's performance in the fourth quarter, if he doesn't have that, Miami doesn't win this game. They were down 8 when he caught fire, when he had his own basically 10-0 run for himself. And just impressive to watch him with driving to the basket. There was a play there where he beat, I'm pretty sure it was Jamal Murray off the dribble, took it left, ended up going up to the cup with his right hand. But it was just remarkable to see. He had the 2 big threes there. Like I said, 10 points in the fourth quarter. As a Heat fan, you love the adversity, you love the tenacity, you love seeing a player like that, and especially just having him on your side. Another point I wanted to make was Kevin Love being inserted in the starting lineup for Spoelstra and the adjustment he made. Now, Kevin Love is a player who has been in the NBA Finals. He was part of the 2016 NBA championship for the Cleveland Cavaliers when they came back down 3-1 against the Golden State Warriors. This was a player who has had mental health issues. This is a player who's been in and out of the lineup for the Heat. This is a guy who hasn't played this much this postseason, but he's always ready when his name is called. This is a guy who won a gold medal with Team USA. This is a guy who is a savvy veteran in the NBA, knowing his role. I would rather have Kevin Love than not. This is why teams were calling for him when the Cavs just cut ties with him. And he landed in a perfect spot, perfect system, a veteran coach, a leadership type locker room, a guy that can just slide into their culture. And I don't remember who it was. I think it was Duncan Robinson also saying on the Old Man of the Three on JJ Redick's podcast that, man, without Kevin Love, I don't know where this team would be. Just a guy that bought in right away, knows the game, really fits into our system. And Kevin Love's just a smart, high IQ basketball player. And so is Kyle Lowry. So is Jimmy Butler. So is Jimmy Butler is a high IQ player. Kevin Love, I mean, he slides into that culture. I blundered there for a second, but Kyle Lowry's a smart, high IQ player. A guy that's been in this situation before, knows his role. He's not going to be expected to do too much. And yeah, there's going to be times, especially in this postseason, where he's been DNP'd, and there's going to be times when he's not going to play. But he doesn't sit there and crumple and complain. He knows his role, and he takes it like a champ. I thought it was just great to see him inserted into the starting lineup tonight, knocking Jokic off his block. And this is my next point here. I was just talking to some friends earlier before the game and even after the game, where kind of what the Lakers did. And I hate to bring up the Lakers because they got swept and they're out. But the point is how they was kind of too late for them bringing Tristan Thompson into the lineup, pushing Jokic off his block. That's kind of what the Heat did with Cody Zeller tonight, adding Kevin Love, Bam pushing Jokic away from the paint, bringing him kind of out away from the paint mainly. So it was just great to see how Kevin Love was inserted in the starting lineup tonight. I would love to see him inserted in for Game 3. Spoelstra always has something up his sleeve. There's always something rolling down Spoelstra's sleeve that it's just impressive to watch. But the next thing is the no goaltending call on Bam was huge. That was when Jamal Murray went up for the floater and Bam basically volleyballed it away from Jamal Murray. And yet Nuggets fans were irate. NBA fans were, because they were saying Miami was getting so many different calls and all the calls were going Miami's way, but they didn't call it. They didn't call it. Are you going to sit there and that's the outcome of the game? No, it's never decided on one play. I hate when people act like it's always about one play. And the game didn't come down to Jamal Murray's missed three at the end when it was 111 to 108 when there was time left on the shot clock. We're going to get into that a little bit later, but it's not decided on one play. You can look back, you can say this, you can say that, but okay, the Nuggets make that they're down one with the goaltending. They missed it. Yes, the ball was on the way down. Yes, it was a missed call, but that didn't decide the outcome of the game. I'm not spending too much time on that. So, Jimmy Butler, let's talk about him here. So many people are all up in Jimmy Butler's grill because he's only averaging 17 points per game these two games in Denver. And I expect Jimmy Butler to have a knockout performance, a stellar performance in game 3, going back to Miami. Yes, I think the altitude has affected him a little bit, just like every other player. I mean, I don't want to make the whole narrative about the altitude and the 5,280 feet, and it's not about that. It's Jimmy Butler's being guarded by Aaron Gordon, who is a great defender in the NBA. Jimmy Butler is also having to guard Jamal Murray, which is a tall task, especially the postseason that Murray has had. So give credit to Jimmy Butler. Yeah, he's not showing up as much as he did in the stat sheet as in previous postseason games where everyone's like, is Jimmy Butler going to go off? When is Jimmy Butler going to go off? He's going to have one of those games. It's actually funny because a friend mentioned to me that Jimmy Butler is potentially playing hurt from when he rolled his ankle against the Knicks when Josh Hart stepped on him and he rolled his ankle and he missed one of the games in that series. So I do think Jimmy Butler is playing hurt, but he's still out there. He's still putting all in his effort, and he was sensational. And late in the fourth quarter, he had a couple big shots. He had that big two late in the fourth. He had that big three. So I'm gonna say Jimmy Butler's played fine this series. He hasn't played stellar, he hasn't played spectacular, but when you're also having to guard the Nuggets' primary offensive player besides Jokic, I don't want to say Jamal Murray is the guy because Jokic is, but Jamal Murray takes a lot of the load as well, especially off of Jokic's feet. Take the load off your feet in a way, no pun intended there. But no, Jimmy Butler has played fine this series. And I think we're going to get next game 3, Jimmy Butler is going to go off. I just have a feeling back in Miami, that home crowd, that home energy, I think it's coming. I really do. So stay tuned for that. But Miami being up 11 at one point during this game, them being down 15, like I said, they could have completely rolled over and they didn't. There's just something special about this team. And my friend texted me, he's like, people keep doubting this team. I think it's time to stop doubting the Miami Heat. It's 1-1 in the series. The narrative of Miami's going to get swept and what's this and what's that, and can Jimmy Butler do this? Can Jimmy Butler do that? Jimmy Butler didn't even have to do a whole lot tonight. They won as a collective unit, and that's what makes this team so special. They don't roll over. they're not going to roll over. That's what I love about this Miami Heat team. So, yes, excuse me, Miami did struggle in the second quarter. And that's when Denver you got back into it. They were hitting their shots, and that second unit from Miami wasn't looking too promising. It was getting nervous for Heat fans, but they didn't roll over. And late in early in the second, and then going into late in the second, there was a time where Miami was down 12. It was 50-38, and Gabe Vincent got that and one. And I think that was a huge turning point in the second quarter right there, because you miss that and you don't get the and one, you're down 12. Denver could hit a three, then you're down 15 again. So that little stretch right there when Miami was down 12 and they got the and one from Gabe Vincent, it made it 41-50, if I'm not mistaken, was huge. Gabe Vincent was also spectacular in this game. 21 points again. He's a free agent this offseason. He is going to get paid, and Miami's going to pay him. I don't see them letting him walk, but I don't want to talk about that right now. That's for after this NBA Finals. But Gabe Vincent was spectacular. 21 points again. He's been sensational for them. He hit big shot after big shot. I think he was 4 or 5 from three at one point. So, but yeah, the Miami throwing bodies at Jokic was big, knocking him off his block, just kind of getting him uncomfortable. Yeah, I know he had 41 points. We're not going to discredit that at all. He had 41 points, 11 rebounds, and 4 assists. Now, the assist part was huge. It was taken with superstars in the NBA. If you can limit certain things of their game, you're golden, right? It goes back to, well, times Luca has been 31 10 and 10, or well, Shea's been 35 8 and 5, or well, LeBron had 40 10 and 9 against the Nuggets in game 4. Jokic had 41 11 and 4 tonight, 16 of 28 shots. He took 28 shots. So if you're able to diminish something, or you're able to take something away from Jokic, you feel like you're in the driver's seat, right? You're feeling good, because 41 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists. The 4 assist part is what really gets to me, because the the Miami Heat took something away from Jokic's game that he's so comfortable with. Usually you're watching Jokic dime, and at times it looked like he was going to slice and dice the Miami Heat. He sliced and diced them on the offensive side, scoring points. But the assist side, Jokic commanding so much attention, being the floor general, being the guy on offense, because Jokic, in my opinion, is, I wouldn't consider him the primary point guard for the Heat, but or for the Nuggets, excuse me. He he commands so much attention. He is the offense in a way. I'm not going to say he's the point guard, but then again, you could say he is, because he's sensational night in and night out. And yeah, we're going to say Jokic had 41 points. We know that. But the force is taken away. That aspect of his game was huge tonight. And it's funny because Spolstra was asked the question, oh, you guys took away Jokic's assist tonight, or he only had 4 assists. And Spolstra knew exactly what he was doing. He basically, what he was saying, it was the untrained eye. He took away that aspect because he wanted to shut that down, because the Nuggets are going to go back to that and go, Jokic only had 4 assists tonight, but he had 41 points. Oh, Miami took something away from him. We need to figure out what we're going to do to bring that aspect of his game back for game 3. But Miami was 17 of 35 from three. I know I said 17 to 39 earlier, but they were 17 to 35 from three, 48.6%. Denver was 11 of 28 from three, 39.3%. The free throw disparity in this game, there was none, right? Because Miami, everyone was like, oh, well, Miami only shot 2 free throws in game 1, and I don't know Denver's exact free throws in game 1. I think it was they shot 18 or something around there. And then, but tonight they shot 19 of 22 from 3. They had 86.4% from free throws. Miami was 18 of 20. That equivalents to 90% from the free throw line. So both teams shot right around the same free throws. So we can't sit here and say, well, Miami shot this amount of free throws and Denver shot this amount of free throws. No, they both shot right around the same. So there's no disparity there. It was very evenly called, I would say, because some Denver fans say, well, we got robbed in this one and we got robbed in that. You're looking at the free throw numbers right there. There's not much of a difference. There's not much of a drop off from both of those teams. So the turnover battle, Miami had 11 turnovers, Denver had 14. Both of these teams don't turn over the ball a lot. So this is nothing new for both of these teams. They're very high IQ. They're both of these basketball clubs are extremely high IQ, ran by run by two great coaches in Michael Malone and Eric Spoelstra. These two teams don't turn over the ball very much. They don't make many mistakes on offense. Really, the only way that these two teams lose is if they miss shots. They're not getting back in transition on defense. That goes into my next point because there were times in this game where Denver wasn't closing out on the three line. They looked so lackadaisical at times. KCP wasn't closing out right. Michael Porter Jr. wasn't closing out, and Michael Malone is going to give some of these guys an earful in the film room. I just have a feeling because they were so lackadaisical on defense at times, closing out on three. And you can, if you go back and watch this game, or you go back and watch the recap, or you go watch this on half speed or one speed, however you watch the game back, you've recorded or not, you'll see that Denver wasn't closing out on the threes. It also looked like they were tired too. Like it just got to them this game, and they were kind of just playing catch up when Miami went on that massive fourth quarter run. Miami was 6 of 6 from the field at one point in the fourth quarter. I don't. That's hard to stop. I mean, a game isn't all. It's a 4 quarter game. A game isn't won in the fourth quarter, but that fourth quarter from Miami was huge. But like I said, Denver was lazy on defense at times, not closing out on threes, not getting back in transition. So that was huge there. So, but yeah, Miami never went away. They battled throughout the entire game. They just didn't roll over. Even in the fourth quarter, I know I said that when they were down 15, they didn't roll over. But even the fourth quarter, when they were down 8, they didn't roll over. And that's what really got to me there, knowing that this team, grit, fight, adversity, tenacity, they just don't go away. It's just a fun story. It's just a fun team to watch. They're not flashy. They don't they don't really beat you on the stat sheet. They beat you as a collective unit, and that's what makes this team so special. Yeah, it's frustrating to watch at times when they're not making their shots, but it's just a remarkable story all around. One guy I did want to talk about was Bam Adebayo, because Bam Adebayo throughout the NBA has had his ups and downs. He's been great one game, he's been bad the next game. He's always been great on defense, but he stepped up so big in these last 2 games. He had 26 points in game 1. Tonight he had 21 and 9 rebounds, and I think I don't know if it was 5 or 6 assists or four or 5 or 6 assists, but this guy's been sensational these past 2 games, and he's showed up both of these games, which is even better as an NBA fan, just to see like Bam is like coming into his own this postseason. He's coming into his own in this NBA Finals. He's flourishing. He's maturing. It's so great to see because it's not an easy task having to guard Jokic for both of these games and throughout this entire series, because I mean, he's arguably one of the hardest, most unguardable players to guard in the NBA, and it's just remarkable to see what Bam has been able to do, and for the Heat and Spoelstra for giving Bam the time of not having to guard Jokic one on one, giving him that help, and also Bam's offensive game. He was great tonight as well. 21 points. He had those 2 big free throws in the end there. He had the big foul that led to the 2 free throws. He had the big 2 before the half when it was 57-49, and he hit the 2, making it 57-51. So it's great to see what Bam has done these past 2 games. But Jimmy Butler missed the 3 with 15 seconds left on the shot clock, and Bruce Brown grabbed the board. Denver had 2 timeouts. This is what I wanted to talk about. Left in this point in the game. Now, this was really interesting to me because Michael Malone and the Denver Nuggets had 2 timeouts, and Miami had a foul to give. So this was a situation where let's play it out, right? And this is what really got to me here, because I thought Miami was going to use their foul to give, but I also thought Denver was going to call a timeout because you had 2 left. You had plenty of time left on the shot clock. I think there was like 10 or so seconds left on the shot clock. So it really got to me because Denver could have easily called a timeout, drew something up for Murray, drew something up for Jokic. I mean, you could have had Jokic inbound, and then you could have had Murray maybe come around a pin down, or you could have Aaron Gordon set a high screen, or just kind of get the switch for Jamal Murray that you were looking for. But Jimmy Butler played a heck of a defensive set there in a scenario on Jamal Murray, and that's what really got to me as well. But that situation was like a let's play it out from Michael Malone and Eric Spoelstra on both sides of the ball, on both teams. Let's play it out. This has been a hard fought battle in this fourth quarter. The Nuggets were down 12. They made a short little comeback there, and the Heat fans were getting nervous, but it was a let's play it out scenario, and I loved it. But I did think Michael Malone could have called the timeout, but it was a great look from Jamal Murray. It was a kind of a step back side to the left 3. I've seen a lot of NBA players use that in their bag, but I mean, when you're sitting there and you get that kind of shot off, I mean, it's a one-on-one situation. It's kind of just like a pickup type game scenario where let's see how this works, you know? So, but I wanted to, my last point here was I also don't think some people realize what Jimmy Butler has been able to do and what he's been doing these past two games. Like I said earlier in the episode of the recap of the game, he's only averaging 17 points per game, but having a guard Jamal Murray, having a guard Jokic at times, having, and you saw that late where he was having to guard Jokic, having to guard Aaron Gordon, having Aaron Gordon on you as the primary defender, having to stop Jamal Murray. It's not easy. So like I said, I think Jimmy Butler is going to have a sensational game three, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I think that one of these games for him is brewing. Just like how Jimmy Butler loves his coffee, I think something's brewing for Jimmy Butler in game three. But I really hope you guys loved that recap of game three, or excuse me, game two. Wow, it's been a long night. I need my coffee for this recap here. But no, I'm so glad I got a chance to record for you guys. I'm so sorry I didn't get a chance to record for game one. I had all my notes written, but I didn't get to throw it all out there. But game two recap. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. We're on to game three, which is Wednesday night. I'll be back on the East Coast. I'm going to see some family for a few days over there on the East Coast in the New England area. But so happy I got a chance to record for you guys for game two. We will see you for game three. We'll see you after game three. I'll have a recap and we'll see you then.